The smoke, the flames, and the frightened faces. All in a firefighter's line of duty. But Chief William Hitchcock remembers the night it wasn't the fire that almost stopped him.
Oh, I was scared to death.
But the fire escape that broke underneath him.
Where the railing just came away from the building.
And our investigation found across Massachusetts more unsafe fire escapes. Rusty, deteriorating, crumbling, broken. And what state officials didn't know, the system they set up to keep fire escapes safe is also falling apart.
The potential ramifications are disastrous.
So let's look at this one. This expert ironworker is licensed to build, maintain, and inspect fire escapes. So then over here? For months, we examined dozens of them with alarming results. Looking at this today, would this pass inspection?
No.
In dormitories, at theaters, at homes, and apartment buildings. Rust is actually eating away the metal of the fire escape.
Correct.
And the bottom line?
It'll get weak and then eventually it'll fall.
This one has rotted connections. This one missing bolts, twisted metal. Would the stairs come down?
No, never come down.
This one a broken tread. So how dangerous is it for the people inside this building?
This fire escape is definitely going to put somebody either in the hospital or it's going to put somebody in a cemetery.
Fire escapes are so critical. The state building code requires they be certified for structural adequacy and safety every 5 years. But our investigation found that safeguard is simply being ignored. Here's proof. We chose fire escapes at random in Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, Worcester, and here in Quincy. We checked building department files, but there's no fire escape certification.
Not in this file.
To see if building owners had submitted their mandatory inspection reports. There's no certification in this one either.
Right.
Bottom line, not one we checked in Quincy had been certified as safe. And the director of inspectional services admitted because of staffing shortages, the city has no idea how many other fire escape owners are breaking the rules. And as a result, do you know how many fire escapes in your city are safe or not?
Well, I don't know.
In Worcester, not one we checked was certified. In Somerville,
No.
4 more fire escapes.
Did it fall through the cracks? Yeah.
Not one up-to-date certification. And again, no system for keeping track. How can they get away with that?
I guess the shortest answer of all is because we don't have the resources to sit here and follow up on these things.
If structural deficiencies are reported, local building inspectors can actually evacuate residents until repairs are made. Would you talk to us on camera about this? No? But when we surveyed 24 more communities, most admitted they had no idea how many fire escapes were certified. In Taunton, inspectors told us they haven't seen a certification in 25 years. Northampton officials said it's a cold day in hell when that happens. In Cambridge, too, not one of our test buildings was certified, and the official in charge would not come out to discuss it. In Boston, where there are more than 8,000 fire escapes, again, according to inspectional services, not one we checked was certified. Officials know they are required to enforce the building code, but they admit they don't always know if owners are breaking the law. The building code is being ignored.
Right, but it's difficult to write a violation when you don't have knowledge of something like that.
But state officials say for a critical issue like this, communities should know. And they warn the Massachusetts building code is not optional. Does it worry you that these fire escapes are not being certified?
This is an important issue and should not be ignored.
That's because after the smoke and flames begin, it'll be too late to learn you've got no way out.
I can't stress it enough, Hank, that these things have to be maintained and someone's got to be watching.
As a result of our investigation, state officials will now issue an alert to local inspectors. Meanwhile, if there's a fire escape on your home or office, you can contact your local building department to make sure it's properly certified. In the newsroom, I'm Hank Philippi Ryan.
You're fine. Okay. You on?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So, again, as we keep recording this, whether the class is in a setting like this, or whether the class is in a setting with a nice room, or whether the class is in a setting at one of your academies, it's going to be the same class. And then the reason why we record it is because you may not be able to get the same people, or you're going to get fresh new people in the future, but instead of having to get everybody again in the same room, just give them a copy of the video. These videos, and every video we get, we always send it up to YouTube. And we have a channel called the Fire Escape Academy, which I'm going to show you right now. And so at any time, you can either have a CD, because sometimes you're blocked from getting on YouTube, because the city says they don't want you watching some other things on YouTube other than what you're supposed to be watching. So we have the CDs, and as long as you put the CDs up on your TVs or you can literally just play these videos and then just talk about them. So that's what's going to get you guys, as people come in and out, move up or move out, whatever the situation may be, is how do I get back onto this awareness? So a lot of our classes are 6 hours long with continuing ed credits, 3 hours long with continuing ed credits, 1 hour long, and some of them no credits. And some of them are going to be just like this, a one-on-one setting. We would just tell you where to go get this free information. Because, as you guys know, with budget cuts, big staffs, small staffs, and now you're stuck with not having as much information readily available. So in order for us to get this information nationwide to you, we started doing classes. And these classes, this is what's called the mini seminar. So the seminar I'm giving you right here there's a mini one that's called Firescape Awareness. So when I sent you guys the link that said nationwide seminar, it's about 20 videos in there. You want to go see what Portland, how I trained Portland for 3 hours? Then, Portland, Oregon, go ahead. You want to see Houston, go ahead. And otherwise, you want to get the quick mini version, either you watch your own video or you watch this one. And I just want to play this one so that you guys can see that it also comes in with the Channel 7 news piece.
Smack the lights, Cap.
No, that's better.
That's good.
No, that's good. This is good, man.
So this was a class that we taught to all the housing authorities. So the NIAM is the Affordable Housing Association. So they had us come in and do a class to speak with all their real estate agents, all their management companies, and all the landlords.
The smoke, the flames, and the frightened faces, all in a firefighter's line of duty. But Chief William Hitchcock remembers the night it wasn't the fire that almost stopped him,
Oh, I was scared to death.
but the fire escape that broke underneath him.
When the railing just came away from the building.
And our investigation found across Massachusetts more unsafe fire escapes. Rusty, deteriorating, crumbling, broken. And what state officials didn't know, the system they set up to keep fire escapes safe is also falling apart.
The potential ramifications are disastrous.
So let's look at this one. This expert ironworker is licensed to build, maintain,
Darken it up.
and inspect fire
Yeah.
escapes. So that over here? For months, we examined dozens of them with alarming results.
Looking at this today, would this pass inspection?
No.
In dormitories, at theaters, at homes, and apartment buildings.
Rust is actually eating away the metal of the fire escape.
Correct.
And the bottom line?
It'll get weak and then eventually fall.
This one has rotted connections. This one missing bolts, twisted metal.
Would the stairs come down?
No, never come down.
This one a broken tread.
So how dangerous is it for the people inside this building?
This fire escape is definitely going to put somebody either in the hospital or it's going to put somebody in a cemetery.
Fire escapes are so critical. The state building code requires they be certified for structural adequacy and safety every 5 years. But our investigation found that safeguard is simply being ignored. Here's proof. We chose fire escapes at random in Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, Worcester, and here in Quincy. We checked building department files
But there's no fire escape certification.
to see if building owners had submitted their mandatory inspection reports.
There's no certification in this one either.
Bottom line, not one we checked in Quincy had been certified as safe. And the Director of Inspectional Services admitted because of staffing shortages, the city has no idea how many other fire escape owners are breaking the rules.
And as a result, do you know how many fire escapes in your city are safe or not?
Well, I don't know.
In Worcester, not one we checked was certified. In Somerville,
No.
4 more fire escapes,
Did it fall through the cracks?
not one up-to-date certification. And again, no system for keeping track. How can they get away with that?
I guess the shortest answer of all is because we don't have the resources to sit here and follow up on these things.
If structural deficiencies are reported, local building inspectors can actually evacuate residents until repairs are made.
Would you talk to us on camera about this? No?
But when we surveyed 24 more communities, most admitted they had no idea how many fire escapes were certified. In Taunton, inspectors told us they haven't seen a certification in 25 years. Northampton officials said it's a cold day in hell when that happens. In Cambridge, too, not one of our test buildings was certified. And the official in charge would not come out to discuss it. In Boston, where there are more than 8,000 fire escapes, again, according to inspectional services, not one we checked was certified. Officials know they are required to enforce the building code, but they admit they don't always know if owners are breaking the law. The building code is being ignored.
Right, but it's difficult to write a violation when you don't have knowledge of something like that.
But state officials say for a critical issue like this, communities should know. And they warn the Massachusetts building code is not optional. Does it worry you that these fire escapes are not being certified?
This is an important issue and should not be ignored.
That's because after the smoke and flames begin, it'll be too late to learn you've got no way out.
I can't stress enough, Hank, that these things have to be maintained and someone's got to be watching.
As a result of our investigation, state officials will now issue an alert to local inspectors. Meanwhile, if there's a fire escape on your home or office, you can contact your local building department to make sure it's properly certified. In the newsroom, I'm Hank Philippi-Ryan.
So the main thing that a lot of people are not aware of, that is the law. This is a class that I recorded only a week or so ago, and you can just sit here and watch this one and say, let me see what this guy's talking about. And the great thing about this one, as it plays along, every slide that I put on, it'll come right in the screen. We'll do the same thing to this one, but it usually takes a month to 3 months before we sort of do the editing to make it all beautiful. Otherwise, right now, this is in its rawest form. So the class that I'm doing, this is the short version, the fast version, which is basically the same one we're going to do right now. Okay. So let me shut this one off, and let me go right now into, if you want to turn on the lights. So we have on Fire Escape Academy, if we go back, I have 2 playlists there. And one playlist, which is already sent to you guys, it says Fire Escape Seminars. Every seminar we've been doing, it's there. It's like 18 hours worth of stuff. But it's basically the same class in various parts of the country. I also have Fire Escape Inspector Training. Now, Inspector Training is basically the class where if I got an inspector, if I got anybody to stand next to me for whatever reason, and this is an example. I even got Inspector Hewitt to go out with me, and I recorded, and he's down here on the. He's got to get a few more views, otherwise he doesn't make it on the top roster. But he's down here. He's currently trying to work his way up. He's got a DVD coming out soon. Rapping on fire escapes is a whole new thing. He's trying to see if he can get, but it's on here somewhere. I got to find him. But with that, let's go into a class, which is a great class. Let's watch this, which is the building official. So here I was teaching a class in Lowell, Massachusetts, and the building commissioner was the only one that could hang out with me at the end of the day. So there's nothing better than having him be trained on what needs to be looked at. So let's take a look at this video.
Say your last name. Marsiglia, Italiana?
The great thing about this class is that as it plays, I'm going to stop it. This is a fire escape that have everything wrong with it, so let's just talk about it. So let's let it hold up for a minute, let it buffer a little bit. So here I am with a commissioner. So if you can ever get me, Marcus, for example, if you're one of the training officers, I want to get you out there and we walk around on a fire escape, and I basically test you on what you're looking for. Now imagine this being the video that you have in a little snippet, a little 7-minute snippet, and you got a call from a building inspector, I mean not building, but a homeowner, a management company, or some engineer, like, hey, what do you want? Say, oh, what's your email? My email is such, and you send them the link to your video saying, hey, this is me in East Orange, walking around telling you exactly what I want. And then you just play it, and the guy just sort of watches it, and there's a standard that you said. So in your city, you want everybody to pull a permit if they're fixing a fire escape. Yes. In your city, if the fire escape is old, you want a renovator's license. Yes. In the city, you want a load test or you want a guaranteed certification. Yes. In my city,
guaranteed certification.
So
what's the difference between a load test and a guaranteed certification?
Let's cut right to it. Everybody got their little sheets that I handed out to everybody?
No, you can give me one.
Everybody get one of these? Let's keep it simple. What is a guaranteed certification? And let me tell you what we've invented. We've invented and pioneered all the original industry standard documentation because it just didn't exist. So imagine you guys until 2011, there's never been any industry documentation ever on fire escapes. So how have you been watching it? How has anybody nationwide been watching any of this stuff? But your question is, what's the difference between a guaranteed certification and a load test?
Right.
Let's take a piece of a tread as an example. And that tread could represent the staircase or the platform, but I'm just going to talk about a tread. And that tread, actually, let's take a look at this platform right there. That platform is 2 feet wide, and it's about 15 feet long. Would you agree?
Yeah.
15 times 2 is 30 square feet. 30 square feet times 100 pounds per square foot says that should be able to hold 3,000 pounds. What your law says on your code, it says that it needs to be load tested and or inspected. So if it's going to get inspected, that means somebody's got to have to satisfy you that it's been inspected in lieu of a load test. Okay? So let's load test it first. You're like, you know what? I don't want these certifications. I want nothing but load tests. So I have to come there and I have to bring 3,000 pounds of sand, bags, bricks, never people, because you guys do that already. You guys already live load test these things with your own bodies anyway. But I got to put 3,000 pounds on this little platform right there. Now, if I'm a smart guy, before I do the load test, I would make sure that all my supports are looking good, all my connections look good, there's no rust anywhere, because I know what a pass looks like. Do you know what a fail looks like? You know what I'm saying? It's pieces of the fire escape on the ground on top of somebody's toes or on top of somebody's head. So load testing is very dangerous to put up 3,000 pounds anywhere. And I don't have to put weight on it. I can come from underneath it with a truck, put a cable up to it, and exert 3,000 pounds. Try to lift the ass of a truck and exert. So there's your load test. Do it for 30 minutes, engineer oversight, take a lot of measurements. It can't deflect more than 3/16 of an inch. If it deflects more than 3/16, it's right there on one of my load test criteria, it failed the test. That's for, material that's been worn or material that's... Is there anything else not as dangerous? And by the way, that 3,000 pound load test probably cost the guy $3,000 to $5,000 to move around men, move around weights, move around things. You know how much of that went to bolts and paint? Nothing. So, in lieu of a load test, in your code, I'm going to talk about your code. In lieu of a load test, can we have a guaranteed certification? So, if I go to this fire escape and every one of those connections into the wall, I verify. I either open up the bricks all around each one, which is $200 to $500 a piece, or if I was to put an epoxy bolt next to it, that's called either you verify it or you duplicate it. So now I drill a hole next to this connection, which is 50, 75, or 100 years old on some of your buildings now, and I put an epoxy bolt next to it, and then I mechanically fasten back to the original support. Now, do you care about the first support anymore? If I have a new bolt,
I assume that it's going to be okay if you do that.
Well, I got a new one. Do you care? Do I have to verify the first one anymore?
No.
I'm still going to pack it anyway. I can't leave a gaping hole in the fire escape, so it's not like I can't repair it anymore. But I fixed the first one, but now I duplicate it to eliminate the concern on a 50, 75-year-old building. Do I do that to a 25-year-old building? No. Do I do it to a 50, 75, or 100-year-old building? Yeah. Yes, unless I can verify it some other way. But I've already told you, to call a mason out here to open up that thing, he wants $250 to $500 a piece to open it up and close it, because he's just not going to open it up, And so there's ways to duplicate it and secure it. Now, every bolt on that connection is either a square head bolt or a rivet. Now, I don't care if the bolt is good. If that bolt is 50 to 75 years old and it's a square head or a rivet, it's still 50 to 75 years old. The only way I can guarantee it right now is to load test it. But I already told you, load testing is $3,000 to $5,000. To say, is there any other ways so we can save my people some money so that we don't have to load test? Because I understand your concern. You don't want to sign off on a 50 to 75-year-old bolt, and in case my fireman or one of these tenants get hurt, of course they're going to sue you because you signed off on this 50 to 75-year-old square head bolt or a rivet. I said, yeah, if you allow me somewhere near that bolt to drill another hole behind it, in front of it, near it, and put a new bolt, I can keep the original and put a new bolt. Wouldn't that be considered a certified repair? Because I've now eliminated the original connection.
You've eliminated the failure of the original connection.
Or the possible failure, because that rivet and that bolt may be good. Because if it's bad, I don't need to drill a new hole. I already got a bad one. I got to pop it out anyway. So, but now, let me tell you about a tread. I got a tread with 2 square head bolts, and I got to drill this hole. And if anybody's ever done any drilling, I got to do a 1/4-inch drill hole first, and I got to blow it out to either 3/8 or 1/2 inch. 7 minutes. You take an impact gun today, or a little cutting disc on a grinder, and that same 2 square heads, bolts, I can either cut those with a grinder and pop those out with a popper and put in 2 new bolts. 2 minutes later, I'm done with that tread. So I can either, for the client, 7 minutes long, reinforce those original bolts, or with today's technology, in 2 minutes, I can either impact gun those bolts out, take them out, or I can just pop them out with a, cut the head and just pop them out, put in 2 new bolts 2 minutes later. Which one do you think is cheaper for the client?
Cutting it off, putting it in the 2 minutes.
So a lot of times, in most cases, changing the bolt out on a good connection is fast because I don't have to take the tread out still, because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just basically eliminating a 75-year-old bolt. That's called a certified. So if I get on this fire escape and I start going in every tread, every support, every every connection I basically duplicate, and it gets a full paint job. And in every joint, you start silicone shutting these things with 50-year silicone. Now, truly, the only thing these tenants have to do, all these owners of these buildings have to do the rest of your lifetime while you're here, is keep these things painted because they'll always pass. So that's a certification versus load test. Certification, I take money and I use it to fix the fire escape. And then I beg with you, don't make me load test this thing, because I've prepared it for a load test. So why would you want me to load test it when I've got photographs of new connections into the wall? I've got photographs of brand new bolts on all the treads. I've got, because somebody came and did a visit, by the way, you forced me to get a permit on this. So now, you didn't go verify this. There was engineer oversight, which is 3 visits. So some engineer who's signing off on this already babysat this thing to make sure the vendor's not ripping off anybody. Number 2 is, the vendor had to pull a permit with the city, so when that vendor's done, first of all, the vendor pulling a permit is not a landscaper guy fixing these things anymore. It's a guy that had to have a license, workers' comp, liability, pulled a permit, and then he had to sign off at the end. He had to call the building official. Because when the last time a building official went to check on a fire escape? 50 years ago. And now you guys know why your gray-haired guys that are still here, when they give you a little bit of advice, hey, in case of fire, don't use the fire escape, which makes absolutely no sense. And that because there was a perfect storm of stupidity. And what happened was, we started getting into a situation where, for 75 years, you guys were writing, by no fault of yours, because you thought people were interpreting it correctly, you were writing scrape and paint violations. And the scrape and paint violation says just that, scrape it and paint it. When I get a call, and we're going to use this as a case study, 155 Evergreen. I got in there, and I spoke with Mike, and I went in there and I said, Mike, I know what needs to be done here. No, you don't. I said, no, yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I said, dude, he wants you to fix 3 treads and some ladders up on the roof, and that's all he wants. He doesn't want no piece of paper. He doesn't want no certification. He doesn't want anything. How much will you charge me to fix 3 treads that are broken and and stiffen up my ladders onto the roof? Now, why? Because he wrote some violation, and that guy, like many guys previous to him, said, hey, I'm going to read what it says here. And what that becomes is it a $2,000 repair or is it a $20,000 repair? But now who's watching? Who's interpreting? In our system that we're going to be teaching you guys, I told them, hey, I can't make a move until I speak with your inspector. Oh, well, no, dude, I can't make a move. I can't charge you until I speak with your inspector to identify what his violation is about. And when I speak with your inspector, I'm going to send him
East Orange Fire Prevention.
What's called an inspection criteria letter.
That's it.
And I'm going to say, hey, you wrote a nice violation to this guy. And this violation said he's got problems. Can you tell me, do you want, based on your code,
Captain Nero.
He told me, based on the letter that I sent him, I said, I've got 3 options.
I think he's in the car you want to sell.
Can you tell me which one of these you want? Do you want an opinion letter, a Band-Aid, duct tape, paperclip version to remove your violation? Because that's what my level 1 said. And by the way, on my level 1, when you read it, that letter that I sent you, I'm going to put so many disclaimers that put the responsibility back onto the owner and to you for accepting such a thing that I don't care who dies on this thing. You guys ain't getting to get me because I wrote a letter to somebody like you that says, what do you want? The level 1 opinion? Mickey Mouse duct tape version of this thing? Because that's what he's telling me. Or do you want a level 2? And the level 2 was a calculated guaranteed certification? Or do you want that expensive load test? And by the way, before I even load test it, I need to fix it anyway. So to get to 3, you got to jam through 2 anyway. Hopefully I can convince you that once we stop at 2, that you can forego the load test, because they're going to speak with the fire marshal, and the fire marshal says, oh, they certified this fire escape? It's ready for a load test? Yes. Then I don't want to order a load test. And that's what you have. The second thing we told the guy is, hey, no matter who you get to do this job, there's going to require, because there's so much damage on this fire escape, it's going to require oversight. It's going to require not the building inspector to babysit you, not Inspector Hewitt to babysit you. They're going to want somebody to call Inspector Hewitt and speak with you and say, hey, I'm Joe, engineer. I'm taking over this, and I've worked with this building for 75 years or 25 years. And that engineer now has to inform Inspector Hewitt here of his inspection criteria. And if Inspector Hewitt wants to go down there and meet with him and say, okay, what are you going to do to make sure that whatever vendor shows up here, and hopefully it's not a landscaper, hopefully it's not Joe Painter, hopefully it's going to be an ornamental ironwork guy that knows how to nuts and bolts technology and if he needs to replace certain metals. And we told him that. We say, this is what he wants. And I asked him this morning, I said, hey, anybody call you yet? Any engineer call you yet? So now there's activity going on. Most likely at that building, somebody's in there, some Joe landscapers, they're fixing whatever they can fix, do whatever they can, because now they're going to try to fix it first. So then they're going to bring in Joe engineer, and hopefully he's not watching enough, but he's going to give him a letter, because the more money you pay for paper, guess what result you get?
Paper.
You get paper that says, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, this fire escape is good. Because you didn't know anybody. And then you're going to say, who's this guy? Joe Engineer. Joe Engineer. How come? Have Joe Engineer call me. You say, Joe Engineer, when did you go look at this? Oh, I just looked at it last week. Oh, so they actually repaired it first without your consent, without your advice, without anything. Did you notice that there was a report already on this, a fire escape report that was done by another firm? Did you even watch that? Did you walk it through? Because I don't remember receiving an inspection criteria from you. I don't remember receiving anything from you. And all of a sudden now they call you in at the end after they fixed whatever they thought they should fix. They painted it. They silicone shut all the bad stuff. That's where you guys have been getting. That's what's been happening here, not just here, in the United States. So now, here I am in training one of the inspectors. This is a commissioner. And this is what we would use to help train. Let's see if it'll play.
So that one that's bleeding rust right there, that's assumed to be a bad one.
Yes, and I'll
say your last name.
Dragon Teeth.
call Dragon Tears.
We're here looking at the building commissioner of the city of Lowell, and we have a fire escape right down by our feet. What's the greatest thing about this is we're going to be able to see all the rust.
Is this 38?
See all original
Joe, is this 38?
And what we're basically looking at is a fire.
I'll show you that next. We're going to go there. The reason I like this one because it has a little bit of everything for you to look.
This is a perfect example of everything that can go wrong with a fire escape. Let's talk about this one. And then we're going to go look at these other ones and a big monster that's on the back. So this may be a 10 to 15 minute video, but what is on here works there. So let's take a look. More paint than rust or more rust than paint? So that's all you need. Let's say they knew you were coming, Bob, and they painted this thing 100%.
And they know you're coming, so they will paint it. So
original hardware. So let's show people what original hardware is. This is a square bolt. Square bolts. Square bolts.
You see square bolts.
So now let's say
that means old.
Square bolt. Can you leave a car, a refrigerator, anything outside for 50, 75 years, and it'll still work? So here you have a fire safety system out in the rain, 50 to 75 years. And when you look up and somebody will paint it, if they know you're coming next week, they will paint that thing shiny black. Your first clue that this is basically somebody trying to take advantage of you is that you're looking for original hardware or new hardware. New hardware is hex head bolts. Old hardware is square bolts and rivets. So, and this is what you see. So as soon as you look at primarily the treads, which is where you're going to get trapped and killed, you see nothing but original hardware on this 50 to 75-year-old structure, and it's shiny black, you still fail it. It's got structural issues. And the guy goes, what do you mean? He goes, dude, in 50 to 75 years, minimally, these treads should have been swapped out once. I need to see new hex head bolts on all these treads, minimally. But you got other issues here. That's why I want your engineer to call me. I want to see his inspection criteria.
Underneath here, before we get on that side, Bob, how about grading? Any pop grading of the spacers? So what that means is when a fireman or a person steps and your leg goes through that, you get locked. You can't save yourself because now you're trapped with a bear trap.
Tenants or firemen.
How about rusty tiers?
Well,
any rusty tiers?
Get their legs jammed.
Indicating that water's getting into the connection. How about cement blowout into the back? See, cement blowout. Okay, let's take a look. Any damage from a truck or anything? Any bends on this fire escape?
Thank you.
Okay. Got hit. Let's take a look at the square heads or rivets on the supports. Are those original or they've been switched out in the past 50 to 75
Square bolts
years?
fail. Period.
Yeah.
Let this fire escape rust this left.
Rivets fail. Rivets are older than square bolts. You can add another 25 years to the fire escape if you've got rivets on. The majority of the connections are rivets. It's 25 years older than your oldest fire escape you got in town.
And what does a rivet look like? Because I'm trying to...
It's just a round head, looks like a mushroom. A rivet is just a round head. The same thing you see on bridges.
Ah, okay, right. Okay.
Same round rivets.
Smooth round head. Okay.
Round head it was put on there hot, and then they use those guns to smash it together.
Right.
And then it creates its own tail. Because the round head is a mushroom, but the tail is a shaft. But when it's hot and red, and you smash into it, it squishes the tail, and the tail makes a nut. Because it's squished.
Rivets fail.
Let's look at all the rust in between the connections. All the
Rust fail.
Let's look at your treads. Missing.
I'm going to prove to you guys today that rust comes from the outside. I mean, from the inside out.
If I had my hammer, I'd do a hammer test. Any rust in any of the connections? Rust in all of them. The bulge. You can see all the bulges, right?
All the rusty tears.
You were looking up straight up.
As your hammer test, were you hitting it and watch for the rust to come out?
If I hammer tested, it would fall. These would fall, and I'll show you that in the slideshow I'm about to show you.
How about this one over here? See all the rust? Any of these bolts that are holding as best they can, any of them totally gone? Are they all suspect in your mind?
You don't have to be looking for rust in a connection. As soon as you see rivets and square heads, and you can't see any new shiny bolts that they've painted, but it's hex heads. You can't see any. You don't need to see rust in a connection. The connections are already suspect. You're done. You can move along and get going because there's no evidence of maintenance. No evidence of maintenance is all you need from them to say, but it's sound. I walk up this thing every day. He goes, I know you do, and you've probably been lucky. The problem is, it's impossible for something that's 50 to 75 years out in this weather not to minimally have changed in its lifetime, usually 25 to 50 years after they were put up. So in 1950, 1975, there should have been a bolt change on this fire escape. I'm looking up, and you painted it. Great job of painting, by the way. But I can't see one new bolt. It's impossible for you not to.
Suppose he did it last year. He repaired it. Put the new bolt in.
You'd see it.
But he painted.
Yeah.
But he painted now, so you got to...
different.
Yeah, the heads are always different.
Square, but it wouldn't be.
The paint is the least of your worries. The paint is going to be. The owner can paint the thing after it gets fixed. You know, the paint is the least of your worries. The paint doesn't hold it together. New bolts hold it together.
Yeah. Now let's see how it lands on the ground. Is this all rotting on the ground? Yeah. So the channel is completely done
with a hole.
I gotta tell you, well, none of the fire escapes in these storms.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Based on what you told us, there ain't a fire escape in these storms that'll pass.
Very good
Not
point.
one.
Very good point that you're bringing up, saying not one. The answer is yes. There's going to be a couple. The percentage is going to be so small that if you were a betting man, 98.5% of everything you're going to touch is not going to pass. So we have a situation here where we're going to be going in and basically keep failing, and you're going to get some blowback from tenants, blowback from management companies, blowback from everybody. But what are you really trying to do? You're trying to get a handle on these hand grenades that are all over the place because are they going to kill the landlords?
No, they're going to kill us because we're going to be the first ones on them.
And sometimes it's tenants out having a smoke or whatever. But you're basically saying all we need to do is we need to get to a point where these fire escapes need to be identified. And we need to start the process. So let's take an example of what you guys need, because there's going to be some blowback. And a fire escape has a $25,000 problem. And that $25,000 problem is somebody who's under foreclosure, half the tenants are out, you name the problem. You know, even that guy with that Evergreen, 50 units, and he still has a money problem. Because he needs, he's down in Florida, and, he needs the money to, get a newer Cadillac or something.
But dogs down in Florida, right?
But you're going to have legitimate little old lady scenarios that are going to happen. And sadly, you're going to get to this little old lady who has not dealt with this fire escape. She's dealt with everything else. She's got new smokes, that you said so. She's got the carbon monoxide, which you said so. She's got this and she's got that, and they took care of the lead issue. And everything's a blip in the screen. Because you guys remember when we started dealing with lead? Now, how many buildings in the United States are now finally free of lead? Because it became such a big problem that everybody just started dealing with it in one way. Either you scrape the thing down 4 feet plus, or you just rip out every little piece of wood you got in your house, and you just put in new sheetrock and new wood, and that's how everybody... So fire escapes are coming down that road. They're going to deal. But you need an immediate situation to protect tenants and firemen. So we got a $25,000 problem on the fire escape. Everybody's freaking out. People are calling the mayor, and they will. And they're calling you and saying, what's your problem? So here's your answer. Ready? You guys need some quick answers to say, hey, this is a life safety issue. We do have a problem there. You guys are familiar with scaffolding companies, correct? Mm-hmm. So a typical three-story house, residential, and the fire escape is just crap. It's either going to kill a tenant or it's going to kill a fireman, and it's got $25,000 worth of problem. Scaffolding will cost you $1,000 a month on average. Full staircase scaffolding next to this rotten piece of fire escape will basically pick up all these windows on the back of the house temporarily. So now, can the owner who's paying for this, will that buy you 1, 2, or 3 months for while you guys figure this stuff out? And you can duct tape that whole fire escape with caution tape, say don't get on it, don't get on it, don't get on it. And what is now getting people out and firemen into that one residential building?
The front entrance.
Front entrance, that's it.
No, but you scaffolding. You put scaffolding in the back for $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. Can the tenants get out?
Yeah, they can get out on the. You mean can they get out on the scaffolding?
Scaffolding,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there's your. I can't spend $25. Okay. We understand economy, blah blah blah, but we need an answer here. We're just not going to let it continue for 30 years like it's been. We're going to put scaffolding up. You need to order some scaffolding to get this. Can that apply to a 5-story commercial building? A piece of scaffolding put up all the way up next to the existing bad treads are missing fire escape.
Yeah, they can put up five. Yeah, they can put
Right.
that up.
So now you've got an answer, and it's $1,000 a month. Does it involve anybody other than the owner and you guys are now saying, hey, now let's take some time. Let's see if we can get some. You can get this thing fixed or whatever it's going to take. If it's going to take 3 months or 6 months, I don't care. The scaffolding is going to stay up there now as our temporary means of egress. Does it remove the violation? No. Does it satisfy the egress for the temporary egress for the tenants and you guys to get in?
Yes.
Perfect. Same $25,000 fire escape repair. The vendor says, whatever vendor in that area says, listen, I can do repairs to that, emergency repairs to make that whole fire escape functional. I only want $5,000. Will that remove the violation?
If he repairs it.
Temporary repairs.
If he repairs it.
Temporary. The rust is still there, but he makes it safe for the tenants to get out and the firemen to get in. But it's temporary. But does it buy you 1, 3, 6 months to deal with that client?
There ain't a person in this room that's worried about dealing with the client. We're just going to tell it like it is.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to give you, because the blowback, it's nationwide. There's going to be blowback. I'm trying to tell you, the answer is $25,000, we're going to do nothing. We're trying to say, no, you're not going to do nothing. I know why they're not going to spend $25,000 or $12,000 or whatever the magic number is going to be that they can't afford at that moment. But what you're going to tell them, but I do have some options. And the options are, I can vacate the building. Because of the severity of the situation, I can keep the people in the building, but now I need a fire watch 24/7.
We do that all the time.
I can also order some scaffolding, and we'll basically mothball this fire escape temporarily while everybody's working their crap out. Let's get the scaffolding up right away. And by the way, I spoke with the vendor company that came in and gave them a price on this job, which was $12,000 or $25,000, whatever the number. And I asked them, what's your emergency, make this functional, which will not remove the violation. What's your emergency number? I could do this thing for $3,000. Okay, let me speak with the owner. So which one's it going to be? Vacate the building? Fire watch 24/7? The scaffolding for $1,000 a month? $3,000 emergency repair by this guy? Oh, by the way, how many vendors you guys think nationwide that have a $15,000 job there that won't finance with the owner and spread the payment out over 3 months, 6 months? Today's economy, you know how many vendors will?
None.
They will. They will. Everybody. You got it. Everybody will work with a client because they're going to say, "Dude, I'll do this job if you can give me $2,000 or $3,000 every month as you collect your rents." You know, because he can also stagger it out. He can do the emergency repairs, and every month he shows up and does a couple of $1,000s worth of work. And 6 months later, that $12,000 bill is a $1,000 a month problem. Which, as long as they keep collecting their rent, what do you care? You now don't have a problem where somebody just says, I can't do it, I don't have 12 grand. No. I have many options for you. Vacate the building. I can go fire watch, $1,000 scaffolding, $3,000 emergency repair, or $12,000 negotiated contract with this vendor and just get this thing done so I can remove your violation.
The $3,000.
But there's nothing, it's not going to happen.
That's the certified load test, right?
No, the $3,000 is an emergency repair. I got a tread full of rust, man, you know? And all I did was go there is I took out the bolts, and I didn't take out the rust. I just put in new bolts, right? So is that going to remove the violation if the rust stays? But if I put brand new bolts in that tread, can you stomp on it and save yourself? Yeah. That's called an emergency repair. And that's to make it functional, not certifiable. So,
legally, how long is an emergency repair good for?
Usually it's up to you guys to decide. You want to give them 30 days, 90 days, 180 days to work this out, but a repair, it gets checked every month. We go back and double check the work all the time, just to make sure. But it is in theory, it just works. When I put a brand new bolt in that tread, in order for that new bolt to get eaten by the rust that I left behind, it's going to be 2 years, 3 years. We're not going to let this violation ride that long. This is to buy your client 1, 2, 3 months, 6 months, so that they can financially get out of the situation. Okay? So, with that being said, let me...
he leaves that on. He might leave that emergency thing on forever. But you just answered the question.
No, you didn't remove the violation.
Right.
So my question is, even though I did an emergency Band-Aid, did you remove the violation? No. You've already given the guy 30 days. You say, I want this 30 days. Or you negotiate with the owner what is feasible to the little old lady versus the slumlord who's like, I got no money. Let me get in my Cadillac. You're like, dude, you got 48 hours to get this thing going or else you're done. You know what I'm saying? So it's really...
So a load test, how much does that cost usually?
Saying $5,000.
Let's say an average load test can run anywhere from $500 to $1,500 per floor. So if you got a simple system, and if you have 5 floors and it's $1,000 a floor, it's $5 grand for that. And none of that money buys a bolt. None of that money buys anything.
And that doesn't no repairs on a load test.
No.
How much does the certified inspection cost?
You want to? Okay. I was just trying to get.
I'm curious because
I'm just going to get this thing loading. Let me tell you what.
The first thing out of their mouth is I ain't got the money, so I can tell them straight up. Look, I know what this is going to cost you.
Most engineers.
I know what it's going to cost you when I start finding.
Right. So once you guys, here's some numbers. Ready? On average, an engineer, a structural engineer, and that's what you want to use, a structural engineer or a fire escape engineer, but a structural engineer will charge you anywhere from $75 to $175 an hour to deal with an initial inspection. Okay? So that means if that guy is going to get that client for 5 to 10 hours, and let's say it's a 10-hour situation, at $125, there's already $1,250 that the client's going to pay for an initial inspection. That's not including any oversight and anything.
That's no repairs, no nothing.
That's just to go there and tell you what's wrong with your situation. Now, and that's the report given to the client, and he's all done. We charge in our inspections, so there's going to be a market play, but we charge anywhere from $189 to $489 for a typical residential up to a 3-story. So when you do the math, the average inspection of full metal stairs is $289, $389. Now, that means that we're going to be like a third to half the normal engineering fees because they're always going to be in the thousands, but that's because that's our market. We know we know how to do it efficiently, but that's not us. Everybody who's going to get into this, you're going to say, hey, we don't want to use these guys from this company. We want to use a structural engineer. Say, great. You're going to, on average, find, if you can find the guy, you can find a structural engineer to come out for $75 an hour to $175 an hour, and he's going to eat up 5 to 10 hours playing with your fire escape. Driving there, getting there, doing there, driving back to his base, working on your photograph, doing some kind of report, speaking with you. He's going to eat up 5 to 10. So it could cost you $750. It can cost you $1,500 for this initial inspection, and that's just so the guy can talk to you intelligently and send you information. Done, right? Now they say, you know what? Yeah, we got some problems. We got to get to work. He's going to say to the inspector, listen, I want oversight on this. And the oversight is I want to make sure that whatever vendor you got is going to pull a permit and that he's in the trade. I don't want a landscaper. I don't want an electrician fixing this fire escape. I want a guy that's in the trade. A welding guy, or I want an ironwork guy. He goes, okay, well, that's going to be another 10 hours because I need to do another initial visit when he starts. I need to do a mid-visit when he's halfway through and see what he's doing. And then I need to do a final visit just because I'm the one signing off. So I'm going to need 10 more hours. Okay, there's another $750 to $1,500 that the client has to pay the guy. Then you get into the point where the job is $5 grand or 10 grand to the vendor. Then that guy had to pull a permit with the city, which he paid 1% or 2%, and there's, $200 fee for permits and whatever. But it also means that the inspector from the city has to come out and do a final. He's not going to do a final until the engineer signed off on this thing, saying, she's done. A lot of times you don't do any painting on a fire escape until all the structural is signed off.
Right.
So how have people been getting away with this till this today? If I do a repair, do I need a permit?
No.
See? The answer is supposed to be yes.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you how it's been done.
I don't know. And not just here. So don't think this is an East Orange situation.
I know.
Internet, let me tell you what we got away with, because I've been in this business. I'm 50 years old. I've been at this for 40 years since I got hijacked into the business by my dad. Let me tell you how they do it. You're supposed to pull a permit. As soon as you change 1 volt, it's supposed to be a repair permit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a second thing you do to the fire escapes, and that's you maintain them and paint them. Maintain them and paint them has a nice wide range of activities, which means painting. Do I need a permit to paint anything?
No.
So whenever I'm touching a fire escape and everybody catches me with my pants down, what am I doing?
Painting.
I'm painting. And it says, oh, I see you. You're fixing this. No, I'm maintaining. There's a little maintenance here. I have to change a couple bolts. Even though I changed all the bolts, I'm doing a little bit of maintenance. Changing bolts, I covered under my permit, which I never had to pull, which is painting. So if you write a violation and somebody repairs it that never needs a permit, do you see how many guys are getting into this business and fixing these fire escapes that are not even in the trade? Yeah. Landscapers. I've got electricians, plumbers, they're all fixing fire escapes all of a sudden. General contractors. Why? Because there's no permit required and nobody's ever checking the permit. Nobody's checking their work. And there's no engineer oversight because what they did is they got this initial inspection. They called their friend Harry the painter to come in and fix it. And a lot of painting guys are now fixing fire escapes because all they're doing is painting. And then at the end, this engineer gets called for a walkthrough. 6 months later. No oversight, no babysitting. So all of a sudden he goes there and he gets to a fire escape that's nice and shiny black. Any cracks and crevices and holes and rust, I filled it with silicone to hide it from his view. He's not showing up with a power tool to go in there and start digging into the thing to see where what is caulking and what is rust. You show up a week later saying, because you wrote the violation, you go, hey, that looks good. You're not going to step on it. You get another inspection to get to right away. And all of a sudden now you're taking the word of this engineer who got duped himself. Because the owner found Joe the painter to fix his fire escape, not Harry the ironworker to fix the fire escape. But as soon as you start putting all these systems into play, now let's talk about this guy. This is a great one.
He was trying to get Cisco.
Am I blocking you?
No, you're not. Just.
when you grow this much rust, this is a 1/4 inch of rust. As it grows, it eats my rivets. And eventually, it pushes my tread so far away from my rivets that finally my tread can fall through. The rivet head is still here. Look on this side, man. The rivets are still here.
Yeah, it's a rivet. See the round? It's kind of dark, but it's round.
Yeah, I know.
In between the connection, it pushes. So every one of these treads going up.
Every one
These
now.
threads has been pushed, so a lot of these rivets are false right now because they've popped. And then this is what needs to be done immediately. So the emergency repair on this fire
So it's hot and I'm running down that damn thing. Forget about it.
And including this one, for example. See? That's just because the rivet.
Like I said, it wasn't even fire.
What just happened there?
Like that. Just touch it. You know,
It's going to come back a little bit.
and then this is what.
Now that's just my foot. I was just like, hey, and watch what happened to that last tread at the ground. Watch.
And including this one, for example. See? That's just because the rivet
My weight.
push this over. Like that. Like that. Just touch it. You know, I stepped on it.
So you're coming down. You're a 300-pound fireman, 200 guys with 100 pounds of weight of gear. You fall through. You're gonna snap your legs. You're gonna snap your knee forward. And that's what probably happened during that event, 2 weeks ago.
Well, he didn't have on his gear. He was trying to help somebody get in the house. He didn't have on his
Right,
gear.
just a regular weight, 200-pound guy. Yeah. I just stomped on that. That's all I did.
He didn't get hurt.
So these come down to the ground, hit people on the head.
Yeah, so that was a point that I made. That was a point that I just made there.
They were trying to help somebody get in the house.
Yeah, with
And
the
they were
lockout.
coming. Yeah, and he was coming down, and he stepped on it.
Actually, he wasn't even going down.
Oh, he's going up? Oh, and he stepped on it and boom. I mean, he didn't hurt himself, but you can
And all he
see.
had on was boots and his bucket pack.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, and a lot of times these things fall and they come down 5 stories. You just step on it, it falls with and it falls to the street. And if somebody downstairs gets conked on the head with one of these things, they're out.
Has rust inside. So as part of the emergency repair, it's just not the ones that have clearly fallen, but
All
all
of
of them that have rust inside. You must either pop the rivet and put in temporary bolts while the rust stays there. Even though it's not a certified repair, you can just pop these up. But a lot of times these rivets are so hard to get out that the only emergency repair you can do is put a hole here, pop a new bolt in here temporarily to hold this temporarily. But the full repair is 100% removal of all the rust. So that seems to be the biggest problem on these fire escapes.
Fire escape. Just they might as well just replace them.
Imagine he was at the top.
One on,
Fell on down.
the one on William Street.
Yeah.
That's the damn. They can't even use it.
Scaffolding.
He's supposed to put
Did you
a-
talk? They're at 32 North Road.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Good. And then that's the one.
So that
And they
escape.
still haven't repaired it.
Well, you can issue an emergency notice to put up scaffolding. That gets things moving. It's their bill. If you guys have a rapport with 3 to 5 scaffolding companies, you can order scaffolding, and the scaffolding companies call them, get their credit cards from those people, and the other alternative is vacate
I've probably been here longer than anybody else. I don't think we've ever asked anybody to. Have you? Scaffolding.
No.
This shit is scary.
The one building that I did site for the fire escape repair, like it was just deteriorated. They actually replaced the fire escape with a brand new. They complied. It took a couple of months, but they complied.
Good. It's an opinion test. So let's take a look at. Now we're talking about these ladder issues.
Certified repair is that we've got evidence of tears that water's getting into the building. So a lot of connections into the building now on this 92-year-old building. We've got rusty tears, which is an indicator that the connection into the building needs to be verified. So with that, let me
This used to be a high-end residence.
I'll show you
A lot of more
back in the day.
These stars used to be the.
repairs, which is filed the violation.
One of the richest towns in the country.
Addressed. And now let's talk about the rest of it.
Now we do, these are all photographs of your ladders, rusted connections, tiebacks. So, with that, this is what you're going to use for training in the future. And I'm about to now start the class here. We're going to take just a 2-minute break, get another cup of coffee. I'm going to go through this because it's about 11:05, and we're going to end it. We're going to end at noontime, and I'm going to go through this, and we're going to have a game plan here that we're going to talk about. The known is basically, dog poo doesn't smell until you step in it, and some of the things that people will tell you, just leave it alone. It's there. It's like, dude, don't move it. There's a stick in it. Don't touch it. Because right now, when it dries up and it's got a nice crust to it, you see it's there. You just ignore it. But right now, you guys are about not only to step on it, you throw it against somebody's wall because it's your issue. Now, this issue would go away tomorrow if there was a national law that says all rent checks now must be collected through the fire escape by the landlords or the management companies. Imagine where you put your check is on the outside of your window, you duct tape it to the outside of your window, and you tell your landlord, my check's here, it's outside, and I noticed for 2 months you haven't collected the other checks that I duct taped out. When are you coming? These things would, there'd be a lot of people out there saying, dude, you want to live for free in my building, just get an apartment because they can't seem to collect their check.
The reason this fire escape is still standing
is
because this picture was taken when? 1926?
There you go. You can tell by the helmets, right?
Exactly. Now, that's when it was new. Could you imagine Irwin, me, a couple other big head guys that run for some of these fire escapes now?
Let's talk about this very picture, and then let's take a 2-minute break to get a cup of coffee. Ready? That's a 3x4 or 4x4 platform. Do you agree?
Right.
4 times 4 is 16 square feet. Times 100 pounds per square feet, that's 1,600 pounds of weight. Each one of those men back then, but let's talk about today's men. They averagely weigh 200 pounds and they have 100 pounds worth of equipment. Is that correct? Yes. 300 pounds. I need to squeeze 5 firemen fully outfitted with tanks and everything in a 4x4 square. Can I do it?
No.
Never gonna happen.
So these things are overbuilt. They're built to take that plus, so on average you're going to get 3 men. It'll take 5, 6 guys. Now, tenants weigh an average 150 pounds apiece. I've got 1,600 pounds. That means I can put over 10 people in a 4x4. Can I do it?
Never
gonna happen.
So these things are built. Now, you let me get at any old fire escape that's 75 years old. You let me get at it, and you let me reconnect it back into the building with new epoxy bolts or a new through plate. But that'll satisfy you? You let me change out every bolt, keep the original material. I'm going to give you a guarantee in photographs, so you go there and see it, that none of the connections have any more rust. And what used to have rust, I've cleaned, I've primed, and I've silicone shut it. And I got a fresh, brand new bolt in there. Will you feel comfortable that fire escape is not ready to take firemen or people? If I'm never going to feel comfortable.
If you scraped away the rust,
What
cleaned it
about
out,
the thread?
put a new bolt in the epoxy, I can give it to you.
And there's one more for you guys, and we're going to talk about that, and then let's have our quick little 2-minute break. I also put a tag, which is already now in use by the Seattle Fire Department and the Tacoma Fire Department. I have a white tag 7 to 10 feet off the ground, which is 8.5 by 11, so I have a tag this big, 7 to 10 feet off the ground, and it's white. You don't even have to read it, even though you can read it, and it says, the fire escape has no deficiencies. And you come down that alleyway in the middle of the night full of smoke and snow and steam and whatever the hell you want, and you look up there and you see this white tag on it that says the fire escape has no deficiencies. It even tells you when the next inspection due date is. Will you feel comfortable with jumping on that fire escape and go saving that baby?
So. Yeah.
If you run down that alleyway and you get there and it's got a yellow tag on it, it's got a red tag on it. So all we're doing right now, if we could, and we said, you know what? There's a rule here in East Orange. We're not going to fix any fire escapes, but we're just going to identify the current condition. If this is an identification program to identify the current condition, to then generate a long-term plan of what we're going to do this. Imagine all we did was put whites, reds, or yellows on fire escapes, and that's all we did. You didn't force owners to fix them. You just wanted to know. We need a tag, a conditional tag on your fire escape. That's all we're doing, and we're going to spend 5 years finding them and tagging them. So all you do is basically you're going out and you're placing nothing but yellows and reds. Because can you place whites?
No.
Who can place whites? Structural engineers, right? So everybody you go to, they're like, oh, I'm going to put a white one. No, you can't put a white one. Oh, then put a white one on for me. I can't put a white one on. If you want white ones, you got to call these guys and they'll put a white one on. Otherwise, the only thing you're getting is yellows and reds. Unless you give me some documentation that says that it's a white, you don't have a right to put a white on there. So you spend the next 3 to 5 years finding how many, a physical count, because the firefighters are going to help you find them. You guys are going to start. You're going to say we've identified 4,300 fire escapes in the entire city, commercial, residential, and institutional, in the city of East Orange. And what condition are them? Out of all of them, 7% of them are white, and the rest of them are all yellows and reds. Great. What do we want to do? Well, what we want to do is immediately on the reds, we've issued all these orders. Fire watches, vacate the buildings. We've started implementing the scaffolding situation, and why? Because these people are all faced with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 problem. They're all screaming. Everyone has the mayor on speed dial. Ah! You're like, okay, that's okay. So what do you? This is for the safety of the tenants and the firemen. We have 3 options: fire watch, vacate the building, scaffolding. And why don't you fix it? We want them to fix it, but they want the cheapest Band-Aid, and the best Band-Aid we found, short of an emergency repair by some vendor in our community. These scaffolding things come with insurance. They're properly put up, because we're not letting any of these people put up their own scaffolding. I went to Home Depot and I rented my own scaffolding. I'm sorry, that's not allowed, because the scaffolding has to be put up by a licensed person, because the staircase system, scaffolding is just, there's no stairs in those. The ones we have to order for you must come with stairs so your tenants can get out, firemen can get in, there's all this wrapping that you have to do with wire. Huh?
That's not saving you any money. The scaffolding.
Well, some people will spend $1,000 a month for 6 months, other than spend $25,000 right off the bat. They'll waste this little Band-Aid money all the time. They do it all. But what do you care if they want to spend $1,000 a week? $1,000 a month, and it just buys you time, because you're not going to let this go indefinitely. You're going to drag that guy into court, or you're going to do something. But you need an immediate repair, and that immediate repair is vacate the building, fire watch, scaffolding. Is there any other options? Yes, there's other options, but then they start getting into money that you claim you don't have.
Certified inspections will cost them more. Once we have it certified, with all the new stuff, what's that going to run?
Okay,
$500.
Let's talk about engineer oversight. Engineer oversight can go anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for engineer oversight, because you're paying some engineer $75 to $175 an hour, and he wants 10, 20 hours to babysit the vendor to make sure that it's all worked. Because the guy that convinces you that there's no load test is the engineer. So if there's no engineer on a project that's getting repaired and there's no permit, you're not going to accept it. But I just got a letter from this very well-respected structural engineer from the city that's the mayor's cousin. They're like, dude, I'm not going to take this because there's no oversight. I don't know what repairs were done. He doesn't know what repairs were done. He didn't oversee. Okay. And this is I need more information. We need to get into this.
Engineer oversight is going to cost him $1,000.
Yeah. Now you're going to be talking about, because very rarely you're going to go to load test, but I'll give you the load test money.
No, you already got the load test, $1,500 per floor. For a floor, that's not even repairs.
Right.
That's just $1,500 per floor.
On average, you're going to spend with full metal stairs, including paint job, dealing with the lead paint issue, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a floor for a standard fire escape. So you got a 5-story fire escape on average for me. It's running anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 is the average repair for a 5-story fire escape with a cantilever. Now, what will drive that price? Shopping it around. They'll shop around, but now shopping it around is a name like, okay, shopping it around with an engineer oversight, it'll be 12 to 15, 15 to 17. No engineer oversight and shopping it around, you got a quote for $18,000 to do this job, and I got a quote for $1,800 to do this job. You know who's going to knock it out of the box? You are, because you're going to say, so you're getting, oh yeah, we found somebody and they're going to start work right away. Great.
Okay.
What's the name of the company? Oh, it's Harry's Landscaping. Okay, great. Who's the engineer that's going to be overseeing this? Oh, they started yesterday. They're going to be working, but I have no engineer. Then stop the job. I need a permit on it. I need to speak with the engineer. I need to see his inspection criteria, and I need to see his schedule of when he's going to be there to watch the licensed contractor who's going to be doing this repair. Once that happens, great. Oh, you're crazy. You're a nut. I'm going to call the mayor because you want too much. No problem. Listen, at the end of this, instead of the repairs, I'm also going to now want a load test. Because you're dicking me around now. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to order a load test, but if I don't get satisfied that this was under control and under watch, I have in the code, and it says right there, in your code, 1028.6, a load test shall be ordered. Okay? I read your code to you guys already. Let me read it again. All exit discharges, exterior stairways. Have we talked about fire escapes yet?
No. Exterior stairway.
Okay? We're not even talking about fire escapes yet, and the code already tells you something you guys are not even touching yet. We'll get to that 5 years from now when you guys get fire escapes under control. But again, all exit discharges, exterior stairways, and fire escapes shall be kept free of snow and ice. Any fire escape or exit stairway found in a state of deterioration or determined to be unsafe by the fire official, not the building official, shall be repaired immediately, depending upon the structural condition. Depending upon the structural condition. Who decides what depending upon structural condition means?
We do.
You. Depending upon the structural condition, a load test of any fire escape shall be conducted before the fire escape is returned to service. Meaning, if I go out of my way to convince you that the structural condition is good to excellent, do you want a load test?
Not necessarily.
There you go. But if I start digging you around and I ring the door in the background and and I call the mayor and I found I got influence up the tail. What can you order?
Load test.
That's it. Very nice job. Looks like you repaired it very well. The thing is nice and painted. Very good. Order load test. They're like, oh, you're crazy. It says right there, dude. A load test shall be ordered. I'm ordering a load test. Isn't that what I wrote in the violation? Load test? Give me a load test. Otherwise, had you done this correctly, and the engineer called me, and we spoke, and you pulled a permit, and you didn't have Jack the landscaper do this job, you know what I'm saying? And you're evasive, you're dude, this thing is not to protect landlords. This thing is to protect people, and I think I gave you cards, and I was going to give you guys these cards because of the picture in the back. Keep this in your wallet whenever you got somebody screaming at you and giving you all kinds of crap.
Yeah, I got you.
You pull that out. And you say, "Hey, let me tell you who's not in this picture."
The big girl died.
Yeah, she died. Her niece survived, and the fireman saved himself with one hand because he held on to the aerial ladder. You show him that, and you say, "You know who's not in this picture? A landlord." You see, you're busting my balls, and you're not in this picture. So this is why, don't piss me off, let's get this thing fixed, because you're not in this picture. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever, because this thing only gets two people who pay rent and people who save them. And it's never you. But as soon as they come up with that law, that's where you can use my joke to say, but as soon as they come up with that law that we're pushing nationwide, that all rent now must be collected through the fire escape, we're not going to have this problem. But in the meantime, you understand? So that's we're now going to get into the meat of these confidence tests, and what we'll do. So let's take a 2-minute break. Reload your coffees, guys. You just leave it on. And as I say,
my question is always going to be:
and by the way, yes, you can ask one
when I'm
question.
writing the violation, because now I changed the way I wrote the violation. I used 1028.6, but instead of putting scraping paint. Because we have in our fast codes, we have scraper paint, we have load test, right? But I used to be able to put like, I used to put like secure the gooseneck. I used to secure the gooseneck to the roof and everything. I don't even do that anymore because I'm talking to you. I put inspect, repair, paint.
Yeah. No, the word that you're going to use from now on everything, no matter what you see: repair, paint, test.
Okay, so.
And they're going to call you back and say, "What's this mean? What's this word? Repair what?" You're going to say, "I don't know." Your engineer's going to tell me what you're going to repair. Because you pointed to that tread and that gooseneck, dude. Repair, paint it, test it. Repair means you bring me some professional inspection report that says he might highlight that tread that I talked about and that gooseneck, but he's going to tell me about all this other crap that I didn't even see because I didn't have time that day. I don't perform inspections. But that word repair, and it says right on your tag, right there, contact local official because you need repair permits violations. Number 2, have fire escape inspected, because when you leave this tag on there, it says have contact confidence test by structural engineer, fire escape inspector with reports and violation reports and photos. The third thing you do is service and or load test it. So you only write repair, paint, test. Let the questions come. Because they're going to say, what's the word repair? So that I couldn't say, this came from Fire Escape Services. Because then people say, oh, that's a for-profit institution, blah, 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 blah. Guess who the members are of the National Fire Escape Association? You. Guys like you. The National Fire Escape Association is nothing more than an association of information to get on fire escape. But because I've been giving it to you guys all through Fire Escape Services, there's always a kind of a hairy eyeball look at it all the time. So we have to start, and as of April of this year coming, but it's already up now. It's called National Fire Escape Association.org. And in it is all the crap I'm giving you guys now. I have to start putting it there, because if you go get it there, everybody seems to say, hey. And its members are made up of firefighters, building inspectors, housing inspectors. In there is all these videos. In there is all this informational guidelines. In our future, I can't give a class to you guys from Fire Escape Engineers. It's going to be a class put on by the National Fire Escape Association, and the speaker is Cisco from Fire Escape Services.
My next question is, as far as that's concerned, what about your competitors, I guess, for lack of a better term?
Well, that's a great
part of the association.
That's great. Yes, everybody's supposed to be part of the association because there's no current certification to be a fire escape mechanic. So through the association, you can get yourself licensed as an inspector. So engineers are now going to learn the tricks that we teach. Vendors are going to learn the tricks that we need, because in order for you to be a vendor and join the National Fire Escape Association and get, let's go forward a year. One of the questions you're always going to ask, hey, you're doing this fire, you're going to repair this fire escape? That's great. Are you a member of the Fire Escape Association? You go, what are you talking about? I'm a member. Are you a member? Because there's a thing they're going to make you sign that says, you will fix fire escapes this way. And by the way, you will give me a 10-year warranty regardless of the ownership of this building, so that for the next 10 years I write any violations on this fire escape, which you're going to fix correctly the first time, you're going to fix it for free. So that's why I only want approved members of the Fire Escape Association who have taken the little mini course or whatever, signed the Pledge of Allegiance thing that says, these fire escapes are, so you're a member? Because I'm a member. My fire chief's a member, structural engineers are members, so by having a cross-section of members in the National Fire Escape Association, which is voting members, they vote in the board every so many years and blah, blah, blah. But basically a lot of this information is going to be housed there because currently I'm the only guy holding all this information. And you're worried about competitors, ready? If there's 1 million fire escapes in the country, and I can only do one a day, how many a year do I do?
Well, I'm saying
365, and I'm going to be happy because I'm going to be full of money. Well, what about the other 900 and something thousands that need to be done?
My only concern is, of course, you can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
And you can't possibly be the only person that
Can't
fixes fire escapes all across the country. But there are also people who wouldn't fix it to the level that they would fix it. And there's got to be some minimum standard somewhere.
There's the standard.
And if they belong to this association, then they would meet that minimum standard. Not that that's a bad thing.
Right, it's a good thing.
You understand.
So now, you're going to see that Cisco was always 20 grand for his jobs. And all these other people have been doing it for 2 grand. But now everybody who does the minimum standard says that now the new standard is $13,000. Guess what's going to happen to my 20 grand price?
It's going down.
But guess how many I can do at 13? I'm geared up nationwide to do 780 a week. As an example. No, just as an example. You know what I'm saying? At 13,000, because the price came in. Everybody. My job is that my biggest problem is how do I deal with nationwide with certain people, because the problem is happening is the people are cheating this guy. The opinion letters that come from engineers that do a drive-by, they get $500 to show up at a fire escape, roll down their window, look out and say, that looks all right. I don't know why Hewitt is. Hewitt's a pain in the ass, man. It's fine. How much are you going to give me for my $500? Right now, right? To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, which has got a lot of holes in it for me to climb out of, this fire escape is structurally sound and it has been kept painted. Because you know what Hewitt doesn't do? Hewitt doesn't check his shit. And as long as he gets this letter, Hewitt's one of those guys that he wants to pull the cabinet open and drop it into the file and says, my ass is protected, and he slams it shut.
That's what everybody's trying to do.
You know what I'm saying? But now, if there's a what's called a departmental procedure, and Hewitt gets these right or wrong, he gets a confidence test that came from Joe Engineer. It's like, oh, well, and Joe Engineer has his fax number and his thing. You just get your standard sheet, which is departmental procedure, has 5 ways that we do this process here, and he puts it in the fax machine, he hits send. Please call me right away because we're not accepting your confidence test. And then you call back the guy that it's the building and said, hey, I'm not accepting Joe Engineer's confidence test or letter that you gave me currently. I may accept it after he has done all 5 of our departmental procedures. Oh, because I gave him $500 and I know. I didn't say no. I said we have a departmental procedure here. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, you had some broken treads and there was a lot of issues on your fire escape. So did you have a vendor do the work? Yes, I did. I had a good friend of mine from down the street do the job. Great. Let me fax you our repair vendor procedure guidelines. And there's 5 things he must do there too, including a permit. And it's okay if you didn't pull a permit, but now we're going to have to work it backwards so that I can properly close this and accept this letter, because I'm going to send him my confidence test to your engineer, because I'm going to keep this letter, but I'm now going to make him fill out the confidence report, which is the same letter, but it's in 4 parts. And I want him to answer each question as a statement, so that way, in case a tenant or one of my firemen fall on that fire escape that he says is good, we know what pocket we're going to reach in and pay the bills with. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the departmental procedure is going to be. It's nothing but a checklist. So that as you receive stuff, you just send it backwards and you start the process of saying, here, if you're inspecting, there's a procedure, and if you're fixing it, there's a procedure. And we don't care what part. And here's the best. There's only 6 guys that are going to inspect your fire escape, and there's only 6 guys that are going to fix it. Who are they? I don't know. But on average, there's only 6 sprinkler guys. There's only 6, guys that kind of work in a city. 6 everywhere. I don't know. There's some magic number. That really do it right. There's always the onesie-twosies that come in that never show up again because they rip off the community and whatever. But there's 6 guys that everybody kind of knows because it's a small niche. These 6 guys, after they've gone once or twice through you and did it right, they'll just continue doing it right. After they do it wrong a few times and you tweak their ears and you find them whatever way, they're going to like, dude, you want to continue doing it here, you're not part of the list. You're not making it. There's only one way to do it, and you're not going to have a monopoly on it. There's a standard. We got this class. The National Association for Fire Escapes has, videos. Just type in how to fix a fire escape. 800 videos by this crazy guy who did it for 10 years. And don't tell me you don't know what to do, because they're right there. And as a matter of fact, a lot of those videos are housed in the National Fire Escape Association, which we're members of, because they give us updates, they give us free classes. They basically said they were sick and tired of dealing with people that, a job that should have been 15 grand was getting done for 1,500, but nobody knew. Because you weren't getting anything for 1,500. You're getting ripped off for 1,500. You're getting a very expensive paint job for $15, but yet our firemen were still getting killed, and the tenants were still falling through. So that's what this class is all about. So now, let's talk about what we have for you that we're going to be putting. So whenever you do the association, as a matter of fact, if you ever want to do credits, and you've got an association that you belong to, and your association does these monthly classes, you get CEUs by having me be the speaker, and if you need 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, just have your association put together a CEU class. Otherwise, I've done classes at Sayreville, Bergen County, through Kane, or which I think now Rutgers is picking it up, right? Who's doing
Keene.
Okay, so I did it. I already done it twice with Keene. I did Sayreville, I did Bergen, I did Camden. 6-hour continuing ed course on this. So today's course is not any credits, but it's training, and again, it goes online. Second thing is, we're going to be talking about the form here. This form here, you can separate this thing and paste this on your desk. It's what you should look at every time, because firemen and tenants are the only ones dying nowadays on these fire escapes. No one else. No landlords, no management companies. Sadly, also some facilities guys that work there, taking some tree branches off the fire escape are falling through these things. So guys who are not even supposed to be on there doing some general cleaning are getting hurt. So put this up somewhere where you can see it. Credentials. I went through it. We tell everybody this is the way. Everybody must send the credentials to you guys. So when I called you, I sent you my credentials, didn't I?
Yep.
I sent them this. I said, hey, I teach class, I have my licenses, and I do this crap, and please accept me. Right? So every engineer, because I got tons of structural engineers that they know buildings, they know bridges. You know what they don't know? Fire escapes. So you just say, hey. But because of the economy right now, everybody's getting into everything. So just have a structural engineer give you something. The next thing we're talking about is tags. These tags already exist. Certain cities that are using them here in New Jersey, Fort Lee, Marstown, I think, Edgewater, and you have various cities that basically have adopted. Do they use it religiously? No. Are they supposed to be doing that ordinance thing? Yes. How long is it going to take? Years. You have another way to do it besides an ordinance, which means you have to get the local politicians to agree, is you do it through administrative rule change on your fire code. How long does that take?
Yeah, what's
okay. The last thing is called departmental procedure. It's nothing but a generic 5-step, 10-step, you name it. We can get it down to 5 lines that says this is what you'll do if you're inspecting fire escapes for me. This is what you'll do if you are fixing fire escapes for me. And you not only give it a bold statement, you put some, for example, and you just list the 4 examples below it. You put that on your letterhead on the top. The departmental procedures go into the body, and all you do is just you fax that or email that out to whoever is doing something in your city. And it doesn't matter now when you catch it. If you catch it at the beginning or you catch it at the end of the procedure, you're going to make them go back through the 5 steps anyway. So don't be like hard-ass. It's got to be done this way. Just catch it whenever you can catch it. I just got a certificate in the mail, great, from Joe Engineer. Now educate Joe Engineer. Send him the 5 procedures and say, this is what should have been done. I'm sorry, you're going to have to, here's the best part, Mr. Joe Engineer. Your letter, as is forcing this guy into a load test. Because you didn't do these 5 steps, my chief, my fire marshal, my guy, my training officer, my guy above me, whoever that may be, says if they don't do it this way, load test it. So call your client and tell them how much you're going to charge to load test that fire escape. And I know it's going to be $3 to $5 grand. So go ahead, call them up, say, hey, $3 to $5 grand. But it may cost them just another $1,000 to reverse this process. Because you satisfy these 5 steps for me, I will not order a load test. But the way you're giving it to me right now, I have no clue, no permits, dude, I got a fix for this. A fix that doesn't involve any of these steps. Load test it. And by the way, I want it to be witnessed. I want to be there when you're load testing it. Okay? Guy goes, but you said, dude, just read the procedure. So if it's cheaper for you to back up this thing, fill out my confidence tab. I ain't filling out no I've been here. Who the hell are you? I know you're a fire chief. I'm going to call your fire chief and rip you a new asshole because you were just some cocky little dude. Do what you got to do. Based on your conversation, I want a load test now. Don't do any of these things. Matter of fact, rip that up and throw it away. Load test me. Give me a load test. Because that's what the code says. You give me fire because I'm ordering a load test that the code says I can order. And I'm going to be making more money than you. So start the procedure. Get me fired, man. I appreciate what you're doing because my life needs a change, and my lawyers will be in touch with everybody. So the next thing, these tags, they speak for themselves. We want to get every fire escape. Right now you can find this tag in Seattle.org. You can find this in Tacoma.org. These are online. It's called the confidence test. It's called a fire escape tag. In Tacoma, they want them 19 by 11 inches high. It's monstrous. What I like about these right here is that they're 8.5 by 11. You use your own printer. You're going to print them. And you guys have a laminator here? They're cheap. $50. You go to Staples. Yeah. So every one of these tags, every one of these red tags gets laminated. Every one of these yellow tags get laminated. And here's the procedure. You're just going to start going out on your normal inspections. And every time you identify a fire escape, you're going to have these laminated. You got 50 in your car of these yellows and reds, and they're blank as you fill them up. Your city name up, we'll put it on there for you. We can send this to you in PDF, or we can send this to you already done and with your name already on it. You just got yellows and reds, and in your car you got a box of 50 that she laminated, already pre-hole punched, and you got a ton of zip ties. All you do is just walk and do your inspection here, and this building is a beautiful building, and it's got no fire escape. And then as you're about to get into your car, you look across the street, and you've got a fire escape. All you do is write down the address. It's 123 Main Street. You look at it, very quick visual, and you say, I don't see any dangling treads, and no truck has hit it. You take one of your yellow tags out of your car, take 2 zip ties, and you get near it, and you zip tie it to the thing, you zip tie it, and you put your information, you put your date on it, you just write your information here. That's it. When they get there, they already read it. If it's got a yellow, they read it. Contact fire official. Well, your name and number's right on there. It says do not remove. Removal of this is in violation of the fire code. You just tagged it. You haven't violated it yet. You just tagged it because now you're looking for a certification. So you come from putting a yellow on this one, and as you're getting back to your car, you look at another one. You're like, oh my God, there's a dangling tread on this one, and it's 125 Main Street. You go and get a red one. You go to the site and you put a red one on the tag, and you walk back to your car. You come back here. You have 2 jobs now. You have to the yellow one. You're going to send out a letter because you're not doing a violation. You're going to write out a letter requesting a current certification for your fire escape, which is required under 1028.6. No violation. You're requesting a copy of their current certificate. What are they going to say?
They ain't got one.
I ain't got one. What's that become then?
Violation.
Becomes a violation. That's for the yellow one. The red one
is a violation.
Is already like because it's a life safety issue. It's deemed unsafe.
And in fact, it's an imminent hazard.
It's an imminent hazard, which is going to get your reds get attention immediately that day, and it's going to go through this process. And all you've done, you're inspecting this building, and you just turned around. You're like, oh man! So you either have them already in your little casey thing here, always reds and yellows, and you just go and zip tie it, write down the address, zip tie the red one, write down the address, come back and finish your first inspection, which is that other building. Get that out of the way. Then send out a request for certification on the yellow one, and then send out a violation notice on the red one. And you're going to get a call because I'm a tenant. I'm going to be walking in that building, and I'm going to see this yellow thing that I've never seen before. I'm going to say, what the hell does this thing say? Fire escape has deficiencies. I call my landlord. Hey, this is all me and my kids get out of this house. What's this yellow thing? Do you know about this yellow thing? The guy goes, no, because your letter's going to take 7 to 10 days to get in the mail.
No, my letter's go out next day.
No, back, response back. No. You know what? He's going to get a call from one of his tenants say, hey, you got a tag on this thing. Really? What's the number? It's the city guy. It's Hewitt. He's got his number right here because it says right on it. It says contact the fire official. You're going to get a call. And if he goes, no, screw it, just ignore it. Matter of fact, rip it up.
Whoops.
You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, just ignore it. They put that shit out and they never follow up. 10 days later, there's a letter that shows up in the mail. Hey, I need a confidence test. So it's that slow process of catching up, right? So now, the red one, is a different one, because now there's you're going to find out who the owner is. You're going to get there because it's a life and then hazard issue.
Right.
The next one, confidence tests. These confidence tests are exactly the way you see it. It's got your code on it, and it's got questions. Page 1 is nothing but everybody's information. Their information, their management company's information, your information, the building inspector's information, the vendor's information, all license numbers. Great page 1, isn't it? Page 1 means nothing. Page 2 means everything. Because page 2 starts asking questions like the general question. Is it painted? Is there any obstruction? Is it single action requiring special knowledge? But then you start going down into the structural review. And the structural review are questions. They're statements that you're making. And it says here that I've checked every connection and it is 100% free of all internal rust. Dude, I can't make that statement unless it's a true statement. So if I start checking off yes on these and I start going into the next page, which is, you know, all the questions are very dangerous questions to answer false. And it includes the anchoring devices. All anchoring devices to the building are verified, intact, or duplicated. So if you start reading some of these questions, because you just got a letter from an engineer, you send them this confidence test to fill it out. Now, where's this confidence test being housed on? Is this a Cisco test? As a matter of fact, it is. The Seattle copied my confidence test because none existed in the country. But this is a Word document or a PDF. And it says your name here. So you can just go to, or you can go, we'll make this for you, or you can go to seattle.org under confidence testing, and they'll give you sprinkler test forms there and everything. And you steal it. You say, I'm going to steal it. Well, you don't have to steal it. I already got it for you. But otherwise, if you want to go see where it came from, this test is the Seattle test. And we'll put your seal here, put your name here, and your phone numbers here. So this is what you send back to these engineers, saying, hey, we want you to fill out an industry standard form, which you can either find at the National Firescape Association, or you can find in Seattle.org or Tacoma.org, or all these places, because there's a standardization occurring with all these forms. Do you understand? All right. With that, there's the final one after they sign this very dangerous form to sign, which is, a general and structural questionnaire. You ever get anybody saying this much, with all these things before in one of your letters?
Hell no.
Okay, so now the last one is called, the one that we stole from Tacoma. It's the yearly walkthrough. You know how you guys do a yearly walkthrough in every building? You're not going to walk the fire escape. You know who you make walk the fire escape and can do this? The landlord or the maintenance guy. So every time you do a yearly inspection of any kind, you say, hey, I need your yearly, which doesn't involve engineers, doesn't involve costs. It involves, you can have the maintenance guy walk the fire escape and answer these 3 questions. Bolt supports are not damaged or rusted. Paint is in good condition, and all moving parts, including windows, ladders, and everything looks like it's good. And then sign below. What's that do for you? On your yearly inspections, are you checking lights, you're checking exit signs, you're checking all this, you say to the manager, to the landlord, or to everyone but you, say, hey, you're going to walk that fire escape? I need that form. They're like, what do you mean? Yeah. No, we did that 5 years. Yeah, I know about the 5 years. Talking about the yearly that you are supposed to walk. Or is the landlord going to walk it? I need somebody, because I'm going to go out now, not through the fire escape. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and you're going to walk from the 5th floor, come down all those treads, and release the cantilever, and drop it to the ground, and show me how your tenants are going to get out every year. I'll see you outside. Because everything else is good. Your smokes are good. Everything's good here, man. I'll be downstairs. I'll be outside. And they're going to go, hell no. I says, what are you talking about? This thing was certified properly by this engineer and blah, blah, blah. And see that? So you're questioning this fire escape that you just handed me, that my men rely upon? Well, let's take a better look out here. Because I know you looked at this thing 3 years ago, but let's see. Oh my God, nothing but original hardware here. I still got rust in all these connections. I took a class on this, by the way. It's on National Association of Fire Escape. Oh my God, you know what? This is one of those that I got that opinion letters on. Yeah, it's got another 2 years. No, dude, it doesn't have another 2 minutes. You're on the violation right now. I need this thing properly inspected. There's a new procedure. Let me show you what that is. Oh, but this thing's got 2 more. Dude. These are one of those opinion letters that we keep catching because my yearly inspection now are catching these. You know how I catch them? I put landlords on them. Say, hey, show me how this works. They're like, what do you mean? Yeah, you that collects the rent, come out to the top floor. I'm not going to walk with you.
From the roof.
From the roof. Oh, by the way, from the roof over the gooseneck.
And come down.
Come down and release this cantilever to the ground. I'll be downstairs waiting. You guys like the yearly?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, now we're going to get some new great firescapes now, and then with this 5-year procedure requirement, you're going to stop picking up all this crap that you've accepted some forms here. You're going to catch them because the yearly will catch up some of this crap. How long will this take? It's going to take 5 years for you to play catch up. You got a lot on your plate, but these procedures will start picking up a lot of stuff. What other things do we need to talk about? Let's talk about what a report looks like. Reports, guys, are just that. Every time you get an inspection, I don't want to go out there and see what's wrong with it. You're supposed to give me a report. It's probably the next page. You keep flipping around. Yeah. Reports are basically one way that engineers make the violation repairs. When I'm getting paid engineer oversight, you have two choices, and it's right on the confidence test. I go there with a $2 can of spray paint from Home Depot, and I'm supposed to mark each and every violation. That's not part of my pass-fail. This is part of my engineer oversight. They're going to give me $500 or $1,500 to go there 3 times. That engineer oversight means that somebody has to go there and say, fix this, fix this, fix this, fix this. And by the way, I'm taking a lot of photographs of this. That's called engineer oversight. You don't want to spray paint all the violations, Mr. Engineer, that you're getting paid $500 or $2,500 to oversee this 10-story building or whatever? Then I need a drawing, and you tell me in the drawing where every violation is going to be, because I want to make sure that this vendor is clear on what needs to be fixed. And I don't want this all fix the bad things. You give me one of those, dude, I'm going to load test this baby. But you give me something either in a drawing, which why? Because these blue-collar guys are simple guys. Why are you going to complicate it, dude? Just spray paint the treads, spray paint the connections, spray paint the rails, spray paint everything. And the guy, after a while, he kind of gets it. Oh, you want just a refurbishment of all the bolts. Pretty much, but Hewitt, he's a pain in the tail, man. He wants us to give no chance for any error. Because there's engineer oversight, the vendor had to get a permit. There's this whole process because we got to get Farscape. We're going to make Farscape safe again. That's all. But in the meantime, you're going to do it from today to tomorrow. Are we going to do it with Evergreen? No. There's going to be kickback. Everybody's going to try to wing you, and it's great. Well, I love Evergreens. Because it's 5 units all over the building, and this guy who's got 50 units in there making coin. Now he'll spend $50,000 in that front foyer with marble or whatever. But you tell him to spend $5,000 on a firescape, and he thinks you're crazy.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? But that's okay because now on a case-by-case basis, as you guys get through this, you're starting to get it. You're starting to get the understanding. You just wrote a violation. Somebody called the mayor, and everybody's freaking out. I say, great. Option 1, you can vacate the building. Option 2, you want to put a fire code, a fire watch here, 24/7 until this matter resolves itself. Option 3, scaffolding. Because right now we can easily mothball this thing, and we can take all the time you want to drink coffee and think about this. But let's get a scaffolding company. They charge you by the month. Whether it's a month and a day or a month and 29 days, you're going to pay the monthly rate. But we'll get that going right away, and that way people can get out. I can get in. The vendor seems to think that he can do emergency repairs here to make this thing functional. That's satisfying us because it's going to be done with engineer oversight anyway. So we have many options. You don't have to spend those $25. But I'm not removing this violation. And then, by the way, we got this procedures page. This is for your engineer. And this is my procedures process for your vendors. And I don't care where they step in. Because I'm either going to make them backtrack through the procedures guidelines or they're going to start. And at any time you don't do either one of these correctly, I got a backup trump right in my back pocket. Let me tell you what it's called. It's called a load test. The code says, convince me or give me a load test. So with that, guys, Another issue, lead paint. Everybody's been fixing every one of your fire escapes in the past with a weld. So the treads, instead of changing out those bolts and removing the rust, the guy shows up and welds the nose of the tread. Thank God the EPA kicked in because they said anything older than 1978 has lead in it. And can you burn lead?
No.
When you weld, is that burning?
Yeah.
Guess what you can never do anymore to fire escapes?
Weld it.
Can't weld them anymore. Great. But here's the best part. All 98% of all the fire escapes in the United States are bolted and riveted connections anyway. They're not welded anyway. Only a handful of fire escapes are welded. And if I have a weld, one of my guarantees to you for a weld, that I either see that it's either done by a certified welder or by Joe, the local guy that learned how to weld last week, he knows how to melt rods. If I can x-ray that weld to tell you that it's good, or can I just blow a hole through it, put a bolt in it, and nullify that weld? So that's the answer to every weld problem I'm ever going to go across. I'll either lug $5,000 worth of x-ray equipment there to go and x-ray a crazy weld, or drill a bolt, put a bolt, we're done. Silicone shut it. So this is the kind of reporting you should be getting back. Guys, this is a pretty report. You don't need pretty reports. Your engineer is going to send you, you know when you do printing at home, 9 per page? Your engineer is going to send you a report, and his report must include photos. It says that on the confidence test. It says you must include photos. You don't have to put it on YouTube like we do. You don't have to have nice music in the background. You don't need any of that crap. I need a report that tells me what's wrong, and I need photos so that I can kind of look at it. Because when you call me on the phone, you say, "Hey, Charlie, Grove Street." Grove Street, okay. Oh, yeah, I got it here. What's wrong with it? Oh, it's a bad situation. Yeah, you're right, man. Look at all that crap. Yeah. Well, what are we going to do? Yeah, she's got to go under engineer oversight. And, I already told the client. I already gave him my price. Yeah, she's shopping around the bids. Yeah, she's shopping around trying to get another engineer to see if she can get somebody cheaper and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and did they put this out to vendors yet? She's putting out this report to vendors to get bids. Great. So she's aware that I have repair procedure guidelines and that I have vendor inspector guidelines. Yeah, I told her all about it. She's all set. Okay, all right. Well, let's see who gets it. If you get it, great. If you don't get it, soon, Repairs. Everybody that's going to be a vendor, an engineer that's going to tell people how to fix something, you better give them little drawings of what they look like, what things look like going into the building. So we do what's called repair guidelines. So we have little repairs. See at the very top here, load test criteria? Mm-hmm. If we have to go to load test, I got to tell you how I'm going to load test that particular fire escape. So that's a load test criteria right there. These are all little drawings of every fire escape that exists in the nation. Okay? So I'm going to tell you how I'm going to draw the thing. And how I'm going to fix it, because I can use these little diagrams to help the blue-collar guys out there. If there's something that needs to be changed, or we need to move some certain components, or we need to build a brand new fire escape because the old one's no good, and we either have to come up to code, or whatever the situation is, well, there's examples of drawings right here. This is just to say, hey, anything and everything can be done, because the drawing has to go to planning anyway to get a permit. You're not going to build a new fire escape unless you go to planning. It's nothing to do with the fire department. So these are all examples and guidelines. And when you're all done, the thing that's going to always protect you is going to be these confidence tests. These confidence tests is basically a final exam for people who are very scared to sign off. This is what you put away. You put away one of these confidence tests that follow the procedures for inspecting and repairing, you've got a chance that thing's pretty good. And then with that yearly inspection routine that you make them walk it, you're going to go backwards to a lot of stuff that is just crap out there. So, the end of the class is basically us telling you what's the next steps. The next steps is you guys give me a point man. It says, who we're going to work with. You pick one guy. That one guy now is your fire escape guy. You guys all do your work, but everything goes through that fire escape guy at the end of it. He's the control officer. He's the overseer that everything is going through the 5 steps so that you can continue doing other things. But that control officer is working with us to make sure that the tags that we've developed for you meet your criteria, and it's standard ones that everybody else is using, so it shouldn't be a problem. That the confidence test that we sent to you that you confirmed looks exactly like the one in Seattle, and you put it through your fire chief and he went through legal with it, like, dude, this is fine. If it's out there, we can use it too. And this was put out by a fire department? Yeah, Seattle Fire Department put this out. Oh, then yeah, then it must be legal. You know what I'm saying? So instead of reinventing the wheel, you just copy the wheel and just implement it. And then get ready for the next 3 to 6 months, 1 to 3 years. Get ready for the blowback. There's a hurricane coming. And what the hurricane is that they think you guys are so bored doing nothing that you guys are inventing things to stimulate the economy. And now the thing that you guys have been ignoring for 30 years, now it's a big problem with you, is this thing called staircases. And you know, why are you making a big stink about staircases, you know? Well, the reason being because there's not that many fires for us to really test these things, and they've been ignored for 50 years. But sadly, 50 years ago, this wasn't an issue because these fire escapes were only 25 years old 50 years ago. Every one of these fire escapes now is 75 years old, and for the most routine crap that we do, lockouts, cat removals, something, our men are falling through these things and not during emergencies, which is great because we're catching these things now. There's a sign around the corner that says we've got a 75-year-old problem. These loaded hand grenades are just out there ready to hurt us. So we're taking a 1 to 5 year program or a 3 to 5 year program, nice and slow, one at a time, to educate our inspectors who are writing the violations to only write repair, paint, test. To educate every engineer that's going to inspect in our city that there's a competence test, there's an inspection criteria he must give me, because if he doesn't, I will order a load test. So he's still involved. But now he's got to give me a load test criteria, and if he doesn't have one, I have plenty here. This stuff is all readily available at the National Association, the Fire Escape Association. Number 3 is the vendors. The guys that I think should be fixing this should be, the ornamental ironwork guys and these welding guys. But I'm trying to eliminate some of these landscapers, electricians, florists, and painters from fixing these fire escapes that my firemen and or these tenants are using to save their lives. So we've got this little filter thing now that I think is working. By the way, I'm working now with this city official whose ass is now on fire because every fire escape I get now, I'm saying, where's my permit? Because I can't close the file because right on my confidence test, there's a thing here, in order for me to close this, it needs a permit number. I need a structural engineer's number, the renovator's license number, and it says here I need the inspector, of the permit number of the job. So that's the only thing holding this thing up for me ordering a load test. I just need the permit number. And they didn't do one? That's okay. No fines, no penalties. Now, next year there's going to be fines and penalties because this is stored in the beginning stages too. But I'm sending this guy down who's already finished it to pull a permit. And now you're going to get these guys, hey, can you pull a permit for me, man? I fixed this fire escape. I don't even have a license to do this. And now you're going to get this. And then, oh, by the way, the engineer needs to be there while you're pulling this permit because now there's a whole new investigation back at the site. Is there rust still in the connection? It can, but that's okay. You're just working it backwards, and then at the end, if you get a lot of blowback from the officials, from anyone with power, what are you ordering?
Load test.
Say, hey, okay, no, you guys got it. You got me. Just, I need to close this file, and all this stuff is missing. All this information is missing. Just give me my load test. Like what? Are you crazy? Would you pull that one out of your head? Pull it out. Dude, it's right here in the code. Did you not read 1028.6? It says clearly here, 1028.6, all exit discharges, exterior stairways, and fire escapes. By the way, we're only dealing on this building with its fire escapes. See all these exterior stairways? See all these exit discharges? Dude, you've pissed me off. So we'll get this matter out of the way, but I'll be back with the same code. All this other crap and these connecting porches and all this other crap and all these Romeo and Juliet balconies. I'll be back for that. But in the meantime, as depending upon structural condition, a load test shall be conducted. Depending on the structural load test. So whose opinion do you think matters here? So, you want to get me fired? Start the process, man. I need a lottery ticket. and this is not to play games, but you guys get game played all the time. and you need something to pull it out because your main concern is the safety of the tenant and the safety of your firemen. And if nobody else wants to, and they all want to play dirty, pull this one out. But it's a dirty one, the dirty way of doing it with the law backing you up. You know, would you allow anybody right now to keep a building turned on with a sprinkler system totally shut? Nope. What happens is they pulled every muscle, they pulled every connection, they called the mayor, the governor, and everybody, and they just kept thinking, dude, this building is going to be open without this sprinkler. So you see? All right, so
I got that code.
So now I'll end it right here, and then I have to let you guys go, and I have to go because I'm teaching a class just like this now in Manhattan. So I apologize that I have to a management company. So this is something we do all the time. But so fire escapes are the bastard child of egress, right?
Kind of.
Yet sprinklers are not right now. So, but sprinklers were at one time a bastard child. 25, 35 years ago. You know how many dead buildings with dead sprinkler systems you guys were allowing because somebody had political pull? So fire escapes are in the same boat. We're currently the bastard child of egress. But that's okay. Not anymore in East Orange. That's all. What about the city next to it? Is there like a South Orange and a North Orange? Yeah. Coming in though on the highway says the Oranges. You know, I do it in the tri-state area. It was kind of fun. I said, man, there's a lot of oranges over here. It's kind of fun. I said, right, the Oranges. I says, oh yes. In East Orange, that's all. It's this little grassroots activity that has changed the mindset, the videotaping of it, to record it, the information for the future guys that are going to take these positions to watch the same video. That's all we do. One little guy at a time. And after a while, grass fires, they'll take off. So don't worry about what Newark's doing or what other cities are doing. If that's going to be the new code here, and it's a 5-year plan, and you guys point me out a point man that we just basically keep that guy trained so that guy can get the word out to you guys, whether it be classes or whatever, because there is tricks coming. There is blowback coming. There's noise coming like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of it is going to be saying bad things about us, saying bad things about these papers, saying bad things about you, saying bad things about everybody. Why? This is dog poo on the street, and guess what you did? You stepped on it. You kicked it. And everybody else they put cones around the thing so that nobody would touch this thing. So we're the bastard child of egress, but that sadly kills people or firemen. And kill a fireman tomorrow on a fire escape and see how quickly this is going to be very, very important. Nobody's died. You know when this person died? That woman? 72, dude.
Yeah.
72. What? That wasn't important enough to really change nationally what occurred? No? You know, what? You need some more deaths? You need some fresh deaths?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
You know, put a fireman and a baby, fall into his death.
Unfortunately, that's the only way any of the laws get passed. When somebody dies.
Somebody got to get killed. Then somebody's got to sue.
And then somebody's got to do something about it.
Exactly.
So, 3 to 5 years, be a point man. I only have so much time too, so I'll work. It's not like I'll be here and I'll be camped out and we're going to really launch this thing. No, 3 to 5 years. But if you like the confidence test, it'll say East Orange confidence test. If you like the tags, it'll say East Orange tags. If you like and it's just really up to you. Oh, we got to check that with legal. Okay.
Where's your company based?
We're out of Boston and out of LA. But we're looking very quickly to open up here in Newark. I'm Portuguese, so if you're going to open up anything, you got to open up in Newark.
Yeah, down the neck.
Ferry Street.
That's right.
But the views are also the views are also excellent over there in Jersey City too. You know what I'm saying? It's Union and Gutenberg. I mean, it's Newark is just that I know Newark very well, but it's only a matter of time. The tri-state area will be handled out of Newark, most likely, or anything with a view. But any questions? Because that's the class, and then I'm going to have to shoot out. But I'll be in touch. I'll just keep in touch, and if you want to do something about it, great. If you don't want to do anything about it, at least this.
We're going to do something about it.
We'll learn. Just give me a point.
We have a bunch of. I would venture to guess. I don't think one fire escape would pass in East Orange.
Well, here's one thing that I highly recommend that we do the next thing. If you want, every 2 weeks, I'm down in the tri-state area inspecting. Every 2 weeks, you say, Cisco, on that Wednesday or that Thursday morning, you're going to go out with one of our inspectors, and you just walk downtown, walk around with him. That's all. I just ride with you, for example. Downtown, walk around. We just identify things. 5, 10, 15, 20. That basically I show you, and we record accordingly, and then you just start that. One guy is your fire escape point man, and he just goes, that's all he does. He's looking at things in everybody's area. So you may be looking at a fire escape that belongs to him. You identified it, you made him aware, and because it's fire escape related, he may push it all back to you and say, yeah, you're sort of the fire escape guy that's handling all those things anyway, but you just made him aware of the courtesy that you tagged one of his buildings because it was a dangling tread.
Now, these guys like to fight the landlords. They actually enjoy it, so.
Well, this is what I'm here for. I'll make every 2 weeks, though. Every 2 weeks I can be down here. It's usually a Wednesday, Thursday. And we just do it, 2-3 hours in the morning kind of thing. Just get out, drive around, get some more training, record the training, get back here, see you 2 weeks later. And then just start the process, just start getting it. And after a while, you're not going to need me anymore. You're going to kind of get it. And all your recordings, which went up to the YouTube channel, the Academy training, you have a playlist of it. So as soon as a new guy comes in, because he's making, commander or whatever position he's fighting for this week, I don't know. But we need to fill his boots. When you fill his boots, you got to fill his boots with. How do you train that guy? You make him watch YouTube videos of stuff we did here today, and stuff that we did that we're going to do when I train your point guy. All right. Any questions? No. Guys, thank you.
Thank you.
This is my first intimate little get-together of training, and this video will be available probably within 1 to 3 days for you guys. Okay? Thank you for inviting me. All right.
One thing, you said normally you do classes, whatever. You charge for the classes?
No, I don't charge for this one. As a matter of fact, the only time I ever got paid was actually when Kane University had me do the classes.
Right,
they had to pay me. I couldn't do it for free. It's like, dude, we got to give you money. I said, pick a number. Okay, give me money. And so they gave me some money.
Because you were teaching it for CEUs for the inspectors.
Correct.
But
I don't teach, it's too important right now for it to be a money-making situation because you got people dying out there. Mm-hmm. And the good rapport I make with a lot of people, I'm just ready to do this kind of work. So I benefit because if 100 calls go out tomorrow, I can handle quite a few of those calls. But at the same time, I can't handle every call. So it actually stimulates more work now in your area with other engineers and other vendors. My job is to make sure you are not allowing landscapers to do the work of these licensed iron workers and welding guys who are not getting there because the landscapers are ripping everybody off. And I use the word landscapers to mean florists, plumbers, the guy next door, anybody and everybody, because that's my problem. These are all nice people, but their intention is to take somebody's money, and that's the problem.
What's really
they are taking people's money.
About this is all of us have done inspections where they've scraped the rust off and painted them, and we passed them.
Yep.
All of us have done it.
Yep. That's why it's not
not me. Why is that other thing? Not me.
So
because you don't know what you don't know, you don't know.
I'm guilty of having replaced repaired treads.
Right. Yeah.
I've
done that too.
Same here. And welded treads, and I've gone back and actually seen them, the welder out there doing the work on it.
Yep.
So
not knowing that they were breaking the law.
And he came back in and got the permit from us. Came back in and said, I need a permit to go do iron work over here, this location. So okay, fine. Good job. Permit. See you there. It shows.
No, I'm just thinking about
a couple days later, you see him out there doing the job.
The firemen, they know what they do the inspection.
Right.
So I can show them the video.
Show them what to look for, though.
Yeah.
But it's not a matter of doing inspection. All they're going to do is, if they go out and they see a fire escape that don't appear to be in good condition, they ain't got to do anything. But it's a matter of coming back and saying, okay, you know what? I need to let fire prevention know.
That's what I just
fire
said.
prevention can go
out. I can show them the video. This is what, if you want a fire escape. First of all,
making them aware.
Yeah, making them aware. That's all.
Kind of like a.
Oh, by the way, one last piece that I want to throw to you guys. How often you guys go out on smoke detector sign-offs? You know, the last piece to make something an occupancy. That you guys?
Well, we're doing
One and two
buying
families.
and selling one and two family homes.
Very good.
Smoke detector inspection.
You do that every day, right?
That's not
Fire prevention?
One and two family homes.
No, we're talking about property maintenance.
Slow down.
For C of M's,
Yes, yes, yes.
CFCs, and CFCs.
On their list, when they sign off that smoke detector sign off, you know what they're supposed to ask for? A copy of the current certification on that fire escape, because I believe you guys can't touch 1 and 2 families, right?
No, we do one and two families
When
at
it
the point of
changes
sale.
hands.